right, and right now I'm being joined by Nick Agule, who is a public policy analyst from London. A very good morning to you, Nick.
Good morning, peace, and good morning to our viewers globally. Nice to be here.
How are you doing this morning?
It's sunny here in London, so once we see the sun, we are happy.
That's
These are
amazing.
some of the things we have in Nigeria that we don't even value.
Of
To see the sun
course.
without them is a blessing.
That's good to hear. All right, we're talking about exploring the Federal Capital Territory, especially as regards the midterm review. And the guest that came before you has spoken extensively about the infrastructural development and mentioned that some more work needs to be done when it comes to human capital development. And I'd like to mention that yesterday the Federal Capital Territory Minister, talking about Barrister Yeson Wike, while talking about what he's ready to do for the education sector, said that he is marking 10% of IGR from the area councils, to focus on education. What's your opinion on this?
Thank you very much. Uh, for me, first and foremost, if I can just touch on the infrastructural development briefly before we go to human capital development. Minister Wike, whilst as governor of Rivers State, did a lot of infrastructural development in Rivers. He built a lot of bridges on the Aba Road. For people who are conversant with the geography of Port Harcourt, Aba Road is the main road that goes into the town, then comes out into Abia State. And for almost every junction on that road, he built overhead bridges, which is a good thing. Infrastructure is always good. But I always advised him that it's not just about building the bridges, because what was making him to build those bridges is the congestion on the Aba Road. The best way to take that congestion off is to invest in public transportation, in mass transportation, so that instead of 100 people driving 100 cars on the road, a single train, one single train can just carry them. And that means 100 cars are off the road. And Minister Wike did not pay attention at all to any rail project throughout his 8 years in office as governor of Rivers State. In fact, Rivers State already had a rail project that was abandoned. I think it was started either by the Agule or by the who is the gentleman who came after Agule
Rotimi
and became
Amechi.
minister, Rotimi Amechi. Either between Agule or Rotimi Amechi's tenure, that rail project was started, and he never did anything with that, and he has transferred the same gusto to the FCT. So agreed, he's doing very well with FCT roads. He has built the roads, he has built bridges, he has completed the kind of things that were abandoned for years, minister after minister. He has come to do it. But Minister Wike should understand that for a city like Abuja, where majority of the workers in Abuja are not living in the city of Abuja, they are living in the Maraba Nyanya axis, living in the Gwagwalada axis, in the Kuba axis, and they are having to commute into town every day, that he has to invest in mass transportation. And the best way to invest in mass transportation is rail, because a single train can carry 5,000 people. And those are the people who should have been in cars and in buses on the roads and all of that. And unfortunately, it's not just only him. Nigerian governors, even in the 36 states, apart from Lagos, they are not looking at rail as a form of transportation. And rail is not only a form of transportation, it's also a development catalyst. Like you see the colonialists, when they came to Nigeria, they started to construct rail for us. So there's a rail line from Port Harcourt all the way to Maiduguri, then one from Lagos to Sokoto. By now, we should have been able to connect Nigeria with rail. But as we speak now, if you are in Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital, the only place you can connect to by rail from Abuja. Is Kaduna one state capital out of 36? You cannot connect Abuja by rail to any of the other 35 state capitals. And for me, that is a huge opportunity that needs to be taken. So Minister Wike, if he's listening to us or happens to listen to us or any of his advisors are listening to us, we are saying begin light rail project to be bringing in workers into the city of Abuja and taking them out. That way, the traffic congestion on Abuja roads will be totally eliminated. And perhaps the expansion that he's making in some of these roads may not even be needed, so that he can then take the money into other sectors like human capital development that we're about to talk about, which will include, of course, education, healthcare, and other programs that will offer a social safety net to people who are on hard times and all of that. And then all of these great jobs along with it. For me, it was quite disturbing talking about human capital development to hear that despite the humongous physical projects, roads and bridges that Minister Wike is doing, workers were on strike. Workers in the FCT were on strike. Doctors threatening to go on strike, teachers on strike, and all of that. And it really makes no meaning because, like, I listened to part of what the panelists before me left. What is the use for building bridges and roads when the people who should use them are either hungry, out of job, or they are not in school, or when they are sick, there are no hospitals to attend. So everything needs to be done at the same time. Whilst he cannot build all of the hospitals and all of the schools and everything at the same time, it shouldn't only just be about roads. So as roads are being built, so are healthcare facilities and schools should be built. And so should the staff be looked after. Because when I heard that in his media chat yesterday, he talked about, monies have been sent to the area councils and they are the ones who have not paid salaries. For me, that's not an excuse because he is the minister for the Federal Capital Territory. And everything that happens in the Federal Capital Territory is his responsibility. And so if an area council is not paying workers, then he needs to intervene and ask them to pay the workers. And if they don't pay the workers, then this is a subject for removal. Until we begin to get to the point where there is consequence management for public officers' actions in Nigeria, I don't think we have started on the road to recovery yet.
Now let's look at the dynamics, around the structural provision for the Federal Capital Territory. Now, the minister of the Federal Capital Territory is chosen by appointment, whereas the area council chairman, are chosen by election. So, on what basis, or what rights, or what powers have to remove this council chairman from power? Because
So he did not. So you are correct to say that he did not appoint the area council leadership.
yes,
They were elected, but every elected leader in Nigeria, be it at the local government, state, or federal, there's a process for removal, and that process is impeachment. So if people are, our constitution, envisage that, look, we give tenure to public officers. I will give 4 years to the president and the governors, and I don't know if there's a specific tenure for local councils, but perhaps 3 4 years,
3 years.
and that Nigerians with you for that entire duration that the constitution has granted you. So if you are not performing well, the constitution has made a provision for your removal so that someone else can come in. We can't just wait for 4 years and just bear whatever it is that you are giving us, and knowing fully well that you are not up for the job. So for me, the constitution, as defective as it is, at least the provisions that are in there, they need to be tried, they need to be put to test. And if things don't go the way we expect, the judiciary is also there to come in and give us judicial pronouncements that could also become case law. So people should not just be allowed to sit in office without performance, and then the people who should be enjoying dividends of democracy and not get anything at all.
Now let's get back to the crux of the matter, and the crux of the matter is how to pass on, dividends of democracy to Nigerians. Just to confirm what the Federal Capital Territory Minister, said about monies already being released to the area councils. Somewhere about 2 weeks ago, the NUT, that's the Nigerian Union of Teachers for the FCT chapter, came out to affirm that they are aware that monies have been disbursed to the area councils for them. However, these monies have not been passed on to them. And just like you rightly know, the health sector is also suffering same fate as primary health centers have not been they've not been working for a while now. So the question now is, what can be done? The issue of bringing out 10% of IGR from the area council chairman, is it a right step in the right direction in getting this deal done? Or do you think there are other ways the minister can pass on dividend of democracy to grassroots, without, of course, having to go through all this constitutional defection that we have?
Well, so the issue in Nigeria is that you see all of these problems that emanate. For instance, we're talking about area council not paying salaries, even though they have got allocations and things like that. These are all symptoms of a bigger problem, And the bigger problem itself is that Nigeria is not a country Nigeria is a country that is not being governed with the rule of law. The rule of law prevails anywhere else in the world. If you see the rule of law working, you see development. Like here in the UK where I'm sitting, it's the rule of law that is making this place function the way it's functioning. If in this UK, as I tell people and I tell them confidently and boldly that I have lived here for 20 years and I'm in a position to say so, given my experience here, is that if the rule of law is not applied in this United Kingdom, this place will become worse than Nigeria. Absolutely worse than Nigeria. And a lot of people get shocked. It's not. Because that is the way humanity is meant to be governed. Humanity is meant to be governed with the laws. And any way that the laws are taking precedence over every other thing, you see that place developing. So Nigeria is a country now where people can do things and get away with it. And in any society where you know that people can do things and get away with it, unfortunately, I'm sorry, there can't be any development. So we have to be dealing with the fundamentals. And the fundamentals start right from the top, from the president down to everybody at the bottom of the ladder in Nigeria, is to say that we have the laws, as defective as they are, but they are there. We can apply them. If we apply these laws to everybody, regardless of your status in society, regardless of your connections, regardless of where you come from or who you support, then Nigeria will just begin to solve. But for so long as we don't have the courage, to apply the laws to people, regardless of who they are, I'm sorry, we will have to be discussing these symptoms that are a fallout of this thing for so long as our lives are here in this world. And so that is a main thing. Can we do it? Yes, we can do it. What do we need to do it? We need political courage. Yeah, we just need the president to say, okay, fine, guys, two things. One, we have the laws of Nigeria. Two, this is human action. If any human action is against the laws of Nigeria, it's unacceptable. The day Mr. President says that, you will see that a lot of these things we're talking about here, they are not going to happen again. They will not happen again. So that is number one. So now that we're in this situation where people can just get away with, at least Minister Wike has shown that if he wants to wield power, he can wield it. We see what he's doing in River State. Can he just apply the same thing on the area councils to say that, look, if we give you allocation, there is the office of the Auditor General and all of that. They are going to check the books. These days, you can sit down in an agency or government can sit down in one office and they can look through the bank statement of an area council and see where money is going. And if the money is not going to the provision of essential services, like we're talking about, education, healthcare, infrastructure, agriculture, capacity building by the people and all of that, then the people who are responsible, they should be held accountable. Look, even if you're an elected official and you steal money, the police can arrest you on that basis because you don't have immunity. At the area council level, you don't have immunity. You have committed a crime. So we're not even talking about an impeachment. We're talking about your arrest, and trial and prosecution. And if found guilty, you are jailed. It's the only way this thing can be resolved. If we don't take it that way, I'm sorry, we'll continue to talk about this thing now for the next 10, 20 years.
Well, thank you so much for that. While we move forward into what can be done, to make FCT a better place, what are your thoughts as to what development stride we should begin to focus on for the FCT?
So the FCT, I would like Minister Wike to know that the FCT does not start and end with the city of Abuja. The FCT is made up of 6 area councils, and it's only AMAC, which is in the city of Abuja. The other area councils are spread all over the place. There are places you go to in that FCT that you wonder if you are in the federal capital of Nigeria, right? So development needs to go out to the outskirts, where the majority of the people who live in the FCT are living. Because I would think that less than 10% of FCT population are in that city of Abuja, because how can they afford the rent, the housing costs in the city? So most of them are living in the outskirts, and some of them are living as far as in Nasarawa State. That development needs to spread. It should be that anywhere you are in the FCT, some of the basic things that needs to be provided by government are there. Things like water, things like electricity. Yeah, with the Electricity Act now, it means FCT can do their own power project. They don't need to depend on Abuja Electricity and Distribution Company again. That's the power of the Electricity Act. They can engage in and these days that we now have, we're in the world of renewable energy, meaning you don't even need to carry too many wires up and down transmitting electricity. You can generate electricity using renewable sources right there at each of the council areas and distribute it within the council area. And the renewable sources are in abundance. It's either you have the sunshine, which is out there every day without fail, or you have the wind where there is strong wind, or you have the water. There are rivers crisscrossing the place. Just dam a river. If you dam a river in one of the area councils, what you will get from that river that you have dammed is, one, you will get hydroelectricity for that area council. Number two, you will get irrigation for the farmers to do all year round farming. They don't need to wait for rainy season again. Number three, you can get pipe-borne water for the whole of that area council. And then four, you can do even fisheries. You can do fishing activities and then build tourism around that. So if, for instance, you now dam a river in each of the councils and all of these activities that I'm mentioning are coming off, you begin to see massive development in those area councils, and you can see prosperity and the quality of life in those places begin to jump. And of course, the government will also be making a lot of money from these activities, so they can commit into better education, better healthcare, better social welfare activities. And that is how development comes about. It has to take careful planning and execution of activity, like just damming a river, with a focus on bringing development in that area. So these are the kind of things that the minister needs to be looking at, in addition to what he's doing in the city of Abuja.
Well, before I let you go, let's touch a bit on security matters. In the last 1 year, we've seen the change of the FCT Commissioner of Police. We've had 2 changes go on, and we see what is happening with the security architecture in the FCT at the time. We also see surrounding states and what is happening with influx of terrorists and the likes. What do you think the FCT can do to keep the territory safe and might I say safer for its citizens as we explore, the midterm, of course, development and strides?
It's unfortunate that the FCT can suffer from insecurity because the FCT is well placed. FCT is where you have the military hierarchy. If you go from the chief of defense staff to the chief of the Air Force, Navy, and the Army, to the Inspector General of Police, to the intelligence agencies, the DIA, the MIA, the DSS, to the headquarters of the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps, to the headquarters of the immigration headquarters of the customs. So much firepower in the FCT. The FCT, because of the headquarters of the armed forces, I will expect that there are no less than about 500 active duty generals who are living in the FCT somewhere, and with this whole security architecture in that city, yet insecurity is happening. People are being kidnapped. Some of the villages are invaded, and things happen. Because you see, the thing with security that is in two ways. Number one is to prevent it from happening. Number two is if it does happen, to follow up on the attackers and get them. And need that seems to be happening in Nigeria. We're not preventing it from happening, and when it happens, we'll let the attackers go free. In a place like the FCT with so much military, police, and other security agencies presence, is a thing of concern. And I think that in the FCT, where we have our president, the vice president, and National Assembly, and the judges and everybody and all of that, should be the most secured territory in Nigeria. But if this is not happening, then there is need for we need to tell ourselves the truth. We need to tell ourselves the truth. Why is it that these people can come on perhaps like hundreds of motorcycles without any confrontation? They attack the villages and they go away without any confrontation. And for me, the commander-in-chief, who is himself present in the FCT, should ask this question of the commanders that he is commanding and say, look, if there's any more security incident in the FCT, you either prevent it or deal with it if it happens, or I'm sorry, I'm going to remove you from your job. But you see, this press interview that the Minister for FCT had, there was something yesterday about open grazing in the city of Abuja, and the response he gave to it, for me, it was scary, because Minister Wike, who is known to be a fighter, who is known to, like, he threatened to put fires in states that are trying to come against him, he couldn't put a direct answer to the question as to when he will remove all these cows that are roaming the city of Abuja. He couldn't give. So there are a lot of things that are happening in Nigeria. Could the insecurity also be the same thing, that they are unable to fight it because of, like what Minister Wike said, political issues and the nature of the country and all of that? And for me, if that's the case, then it's very sad, because we cannot let our people be dying, and now we are considering other factors instead of confronting those who are killing them.
Oh well,
So I think there needs to be a complete rejig of the architecture of security securing the FCT.
I know if I let you, we'll keep talking on the show this morning. However, time is not our friend. So at this juncture, I want to say thank you very much for being part of the show this morning.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a nice day.
Have a nice day too.